AI news this month is really shocking for leaders. Boards, CIOs, and CEOs are under pressure as adoption speeds up and risks keep rising. Leadership is being tested like never before, facing hard questions about governance and control. Let's look at what's making headlines right now.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, so today we're really getting into something critical. A question facing pretty much every business right now. Who is actually in charge of AI inside the company? Who governs it?
Right. It sounds like a tech question, but it's really not, is it?
No, exactly. Our source material today, that excellent analysis, AI governance, leadership in the hot seat, frames it perfectly. It's fundamentally about leadership. So our mission here is to unpack the key insights from that piece. Because, AI isn't some future promise anymore. It's here.
It's already deployed, yeah.
It's making decisions, shaping products. But the speed of adoption has just completely outpaced accountability.
It really has.
We're looking at about 6 core observations from the material that show where leaders are maybe getting it right, but honestly more about where they're struggling with governance, with responsibility, and sometimes just basic literacy about the tech itself.
And that's the immediate relevance, isn't it? If you're in any kind of leadership or advisory role today, this stuff confirms you're at a real crossroads. AI is forcing management itself to evolve.
How so?
Well, the sources are pretty clear. If businesses don't step up fast, guide these tools, set strong internal rules, well, the clock's ticking.
Because someone else will step in.
Exactly. If you don't define how AI works within your own walls, your competitors, or perhaps even more likely the regulators, they absolutely will dictate those terms for you. That's the stark warning here.
Okay, let's unpack that. And let's start right at the top where big strategic calls get made, the board.
Right, the boardroom.
The material points out this serious tension happening there. You've got boards greenlighting huge AI investments, approving budgets, signing off on strategies, pushing new initiatives, really at a record pace.
They know they have to stay competitive. But here's the kicker, the huge catch the sources found.
What's that?
While the directors are, writing the checks, a lot of them still don't fully understand the technology they're endorsing.
They don't grasp the underlying mechanics.
Not deeply, no. They know AI is important, is the future, they need to invest, but the actual nuts and bolts, the inherent risks, maybe not so much.
Wow. That's kind of staggering. If the people ultimately responsible for oversight for the company's long-term health lack that basic fluency, what's the immediate danger?
Well, it creates what the sources rightly call a governance crisis.
Yeah.
It's not just a small gap.
A crisis? Why so strong?
Because if the board lacks real AI savvy, they're essentially flying blind. That's the phrase used.
Flying blind, meaning?
Meaning they can't do proper due diligence. They literally can't ask the right tough questions. Questions about, say, the quality of the data the AI is trained on, or the potential for bias creeping in and affecting customers unfairly.
Or even just the business impact if something goes wrong.
Precisely. They can't accurately model the risks if an AI system fails or gets hacked or just gives bad outputs over time. They're approving based on perceived necessity, maybe not full comprehension.
It sounds like they're looking at a high-performance car and approving the purchase based on the paint job without really checking the engine or the brakes.
That's a great analogy, yeah. The board needs to shift its thinking. They need to go from asking, are we spending enough on AI, to asking, are we governing our AI spend responsibly?
And that second question requires understanding the answers they get back from management.
Absolutely. It requires real technical literacy to challenge those answers effectively. If that literacy isn't there at the very top, the whole company is, well, exposed.
Okay. So if the board is flying a bit blind, that operational weight, the day-to-day reality, it lands squarely on the CIO and the IT teams, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And this shifts us from that sort of high-level strategic risk to essentially operational chaos.
Yeah.
This is where the materials really flag that critical pressure point, the AI governance gap.
Yeah, and gap almost sounds too small. It's more like a velocity mismatch, a dangerous one.
Explain that velocity mismatch.
Think about the energy behind AI adoption. You've got departments everywhere trying new tools, vendors constantly pushing new features. That side is sprinting ahead.
Okay.
But the structures needed to actually monitor and manage all that activity, the governance frameworks, the oversight, they're just crawling behind.
I see. Sprinting versus crawling.
And that gap, the space between the sprinters and the crawlers, is widening fast. That widening space represents a huge risk exposure for any large company.
Let's dig into the operational mess that creates. The source calls it AI sprawl. That sounds, well, it sounds like the Wild West. Is that fair?
It's absolutely fair. Think about the nightmare from a CIO's perspective.
Right.
You could have, I don't know, hundreds of teams experimenting.
All using different tools.
Different vendor tools, maybe plugging into specialized cloud AI models.
Yeah.
Sometimes completely bypassing central IT just because it's faster for them.
And the problem is nobody's tracking it centrally.
Exactly. Because there's no single mandatory framework, the company often lacks even a basic inventory. They genuinely might not know which AI models are running in production.
Seriously. They wouldn't know which models are making important decisions.
Or which ones are touching sensitive customer data. It sounds incredible, but that's the reality of sprawl.
And without that central view, things like security, compliance, they just go out the window.
Pretty much. Imagine one team uses some third-party large language model. It has a data breach.
And the CIO didn't even know it was plugged into a core business process.
Right. That's not just messy operations anymore. That's a potential liability bomb waiting to go off.
So it moves beyond just internal chaos.
Oh, yeah. It becomes a serious legal and security risk. If you can't track and audit your production models, how can you possibly satisfy regulators?
You can't.
When they inevitably ask questions, or worse, when something fails, the CIO literally might not be able to produce the audit trail, showing how a model was trained, how it was tested, how it's being monitored.
So the fix. It sounds like it has to be immediate, maybe a bit painful, and it falls right onto that operational leadership, the CIO mainly.
They really have no choice. The material is clear. Successful CIOs, the ones navigating this well, they have to step up. They have to define the boundaries.
What does that look like in practice?
It means putting in strong governance structures, almost like building central control towers for all this activity.
Okay.
Things like mandatory audit trails for AI systems, detailed monitoring programs to track model performance, watch for drift, and really rigorous ethical reviews before anything gets deployed.
That sounds like adding bureaucracy, though. Doesn't it slow things down?
It might feel like it initially, but it's not just red tape. It's about creating the essential discipline you need to protect the business. And frankly, to earn the trust, you need to actually scale AI safely and effectively.
That mention of discipline and trust, it leads perfectly into the next big shift, doesn't it? This need for a new kind of strategic partnership. Because if AI demands this level of governance, it clearly can't just be some technical thing IT handles in the basement anymore.
No way.
It's become what the source calls a core strategic lever. It's affecting product development, how companies interact with customers, their whole competitive stance.
And this is forcing a change in the C-suite dynamic, one that's probably overdue. The sources emphasize that AI is basically pulling the CEO and the CIO much closer together.
More than ever before.
Definitely. The CIO is shedding that old stereotype of the back office operator. The person whose main job was just keeping the lights on, fixing printers.
Oh, managing costs.
Managing costs, ensuring uptime. That's still important, obviously, but the role is expanding dramatically.
So the job description itself is fundamentally changing. The CIO is becoming, what did the source call it? A co-author of growth strategy.
Exactly, a co-author. They're bringing that deep knowledge, not just of what tech can do, but what can be done securely, compliantly, manageably, right into the core strategy discussions at the highest level.
And without that tight partnership,
well, you risk making huge bets on dazzling tech that ultimately doesn't deliver real business value. Or, maybe worse, you introduce crippling risks because the tech wasn't designed with the core strategy or the core controls in mind.
So this implies a pretty massive internal culture shift for the entire IT department, too. If AI is now strategic, a growth engine, what does world-class IT look like in the Gen AI era? Is it just about being faster?
It's more nuanced than just speed. It's not solely about maximizing uptime anymore either. The sources describe it as a really specific balance. Agility with discipline.
Agility with discipline. Okay, what does that mean?
IT has to be agile, right?
Yeah.
They need to enable rapid experimentation so the business can innovate, find new advantages, maybe beat competitors.
Yes.
But at the same time, they absolutely must maintain strict governance and security controls over all that experimentation. You can't let the agility turn into chaos.
So IT needs to be both an R&D lab and like a high-security bank vault all at once.
That's a really good way to put it, yeah. They need to use AI to cut costs. That's the traditional IT role, but also use it to drive measurable top-line growth.
Which is new territory for many IT shops.
For sure. The best IT departments, according to these findings, need to look less and less like cost centers and much more like growth engines.
And their success metrics change, too.
Fundamentally, success isn't just about system efficiency and uptime anymore. It's increasingly about innovation velocity, about tangible business contribution. That's a totally different standard for tech leadership.
Speaking of standards, let's get real for a second and talk about the money. The source material offers a pretty stark reality check through the budget signals. Companies are clearly seeing this governance risk, and they're starting to put serious money behind fixing it.
Yeah, this is the hard proof, isn't it? It shows the market is moving past the initial hype. Companies aren't really asking if they need to govern AI anymore. They're asking how quickly they can fund and implement the necessary guardrails. Almost every company surveyed is planning a pretty significant budget increase for AI governance, for compliance, for those oversight functions.
And there's a specific number in the material, isn't there? It's quite striking.
There is. The average planned increase in spending just on these oversight functions is around 25%.
25%. That's huge in budget terms.
It is huge. And think about what that signals. For years, IT budgets were maybe dominated by chasing the next shiny AI pilot, exciting proof of concepts.
Right, the cool stuff.
The cool stuff. But now, leadership gets it. Without real guardrails, those cool pilots could actually become huge liabilities. That 25% jump shows that investing in oversight, in governance, is now seen as just as vital as the R&D itself.
It's like an insurance policy for your innovation.
Perfectly put. An insurance policy wrapped around innovation. It's becoming non-negotiable.
And the urgency driving this spend, it's underscored by the real-world adoption numbers the sources cite. We're not talking about some niche tech anymore.
Oh, not at all. This is mass adoption, and it happened incredibly fast. It's basically redefined the workplace almost overnight.
What are the numbers?
Get this. Nearly 1 in 3 workers in the U.S., the figure is 28%, now uses general-purpose AI tools like ChatGPT at work.
1 in 3.
Yeah. Think about that. That's an enormous user base already interacting with AI daily.
And that level of mass adoption, it just pours fuel on the fire of the problems we've been talking about, right? Governance gap, AI sprawl.
Absolutely. If nearly 30% of your workforce is using these tools, maybe even tools the company hasn't officially approved yet, you're deep into shadow adoption.
Meaning employees are using AI because it helps them.
Exactly. It makes them more productive, solves problems faster, and they're adopting it way faster than the company can possibly set up official policies and controls.
Which forces the company onto the back foot.
Completely. Productivity expectations shift instantly. If the company is too slow providing secure, approved AI workflows, employees will just find their own ways, often unsecure, ungoverned ways. It pushes the enterprise into being reactive and defensive instead of proactive and strategic about AI.
The reality is just AI is already shaping work, whether leaders have finished their 3-year strategic plan or not.
That's the bottom line. It's here. It's happening now.
Okay, so bringing this all together, what does it mean for you, listening right now, trying to navigate this? If we boil down these key stories from the source material, it feels like 3 things are absolutely non-negotiable for leaders today.
I agree. First, it has to be leadership literacy. Boards, the C-suite, they just have to stop flying blind. Understanding this tech at a meaningful level needs to be seen as a core part of their job, their fiduciary duty.
Okay, literacy first. Second,
proactive governance. The CIO, the IT function, they have to move fast and decisively to close that AI governance gap. Get ahead of the sprawl before it becomes an unmanageable security or compliance mess. You got to build the controls before you scale up massively.
monitor and control before scaling. Got it. And third,
Those strategic partnerships, especially between the CEO and the CIO. They need to truly evolve that relationship, co-author the growth strategy together, position technology not just as a cost center, but as that essential disciplined engine driving future revenue and innovation.
literacy, governance, partnership. That really sums up the core message.
Yeah, the sources hammer this home. AI isn't just another tech rollout. It's fundamentally a test of leadership, of organizational agility at every single level.
And the winners won't just be the ones who use the most AI.
No. The winners, the successful businesses moving forward, will be the ones that learn how to control it, align it, and scale it responsibly. That internal control, that discipline, is rapidly becoming the key competitive differentiator.
So, since leaders really can't afford to just ignore this, here's maybe a final provocative thought for you, the listener, to consider, drawing from everything we've discussed.
Okay.
What's the ultimate price paid if businesses fail to get their arms around this internally? We talked about risks like inefficiency, security breaches. But is the deeper, maybe more permanent cost actually letting your competitors or future regulators be the ones who end up dictating the terms for them?
That's a powerful question. It really frames it as a fight for control, doesn't it? Whether you maintain sovereignty over how this powerful technology shapes your future, or you let external forces decide for you.
It really sounds like maintaining that internal control might just be the defining challenge and maybe the defining currency of the next decade.
I think you might be right.